So what happens if you combine the salvation of Jesus, the wisdom of Buddha, the energy of Lao Tzu, the courage of Muhammad, and, the ability to navigate 36-dimensional space?
Right. Yeah, it sounds like the setup to a joke, but
Exactly, it does. But you would actually end up with one of the most, bizarre, fascinating, and strangely pragmatic spiritual blueprints of the 21st century. Welcome to another deep dive, everyone.
it really is a phenomenal text to unpack. We are looking at a document today from May 9, 2007. It's authored by Zhu Feng, and it's titled Eight Attainments to be Chanyuan Celestial.
Yeah, and to set the stage for you, the core premise revolves around a movement called Lifechanyuan. And their followers, these Chanyuan celestials, are described in a very specific, almost paradoxical way.
Totally. They're individuals who live physically in the mortal world, but they operate entirely with the values of heaven.
Right.
The text literally describes them as having one foot planted in the secular world and the other foot stepped into the gate of heaven.
Which is such a vivid image. They consider themselves the most civilized humans alive, right? Essentially, a new species of celestials just waiting to be fully born.
Yeah, exactly.
But before we go any further, we need to make something crystal clear for you listening. We are dealing with highly specific, very intense religious and philosophical concepts today.
Very intense, yeah.
And we are not taking sides. We aren't endorsing, validating, or criticizing any of the viewpoints found in this text.
Right. Our role is simply to act as your impartial guides. The goal here is just to help you understand the internal logic, the structural ideas contained within this original source material.
Just examining it from a purely analytical perspective.
Exactly.
Okay, let's unpack this, because to understand how these followers actually live out their daily lives, we first have to look at the massive syncretic foundation of their belief system.
Right, the ultimate crossover.
Yeah. Historically, if you look at Christianity, Buddhism, Taoism, and Islam, they often have distinct, exclusive claims to the ultimate truth. Wars have been fought over where one theology ends and another begins.
Oh, absolutely.
Countless wars.
Yet this text requires a follower to simultaneously embrace Jesus, Buddha, Lao Tzu, and the Prophet Muhammad. How do you combine these distinct paths without creating massive internal friction?
Well, the author solves that historical friction by stripping away the exclusivity. It treats these figures as a sequential toolkit.
A toolkit.
Yeah, instead of viewing them as competing dogmas, the text assigns them very specific complementary jurisdictions within a person's spiritual development.
Oh, that's interesting.
It's an incredibly utilitarian approach to theology. You basically take the specific psychological or spiritual mechanism you need from each figure, and you leave the tribalism behind.
So it's treating them like specialized tools for different layers of reality. And the text starts this sequence with Jesus, right?
Right, it starts with Jesus. But it doesn't frame him merely as a historical teacher. Jesus is viewed as the first mentor and the literal gate to heaven.
Yes, the gate.
His words are absolute truth, life, and the road. For a Chanyuan celestial, having a firm belief that they can be saved through Jesus is, the foundational requirement. It's the entry point.
But once you pass through that gate, the text immediately introduces Buddha, specifically Buddha Sakyamuni.
And the goal here shifts completely, right?
Wholly different from salvation. Buddha represents profound wisdom and what the text calls non-form thinking. Following Buddha is how celestials are meant to reach the Elysium world.
We should probably define what they mean by Elysium world, because in common parlance, that just sounds like, a generic paradise, fluffy clouds and harps.
Right. In the context of this text, pulling heavily from its Buddhist influences, the Elysium world isn't just a physical paradise.
Okay.
It is a higher plane of existence characterized by supreme bliss, cognitive perfection, and complete freedom from suffering. And to get there, you need profound wisdom.
Right, the non-form thinking.
Exactly. The followers consider themselves the closest disciples of Sakyamuni because they use Buddhist teachings to decode the secret of life.
So if Jesus is the door and Buddha is the map to navigate what's on the other side from, attainment number 3 brings in Lao Tzu, the founder of Taoism, and this seems to be where they draw their raw power from.
Oh, absolutely. Lao Tzu represents the Taoist state of zero, or the non-governing state. But and this is a crucial distinction the text makes, this state of zero isn't empty or void.
It's not just nothingness.
Right. Instead, it provides massive potential and kinetic energy. By emptying yourself of ego and worldly attachments, you become this this conduit for the universe's natural momentum.
I have to say, the poetic language used here is just incredible. It describes someone in this state of zero as being firm and eminent, like a towering peak, and natural and unconventional, like a crane flying.
It's very vivid.
It really is. It claims they can absorb the essence produced by the sun, the moon, and the earth. I mean, it reads like a description of a legendary martial arts master.
It really does.
The text actually says they can be so powerful they could catch turtles in the 5 oceans, yet so unobtrusive they can hide without casting a shadow.
Yeah, they view themselves as vibrating on the exact same frequency as Lao Tzu's thoughts. But, and this is where it gets highly practical, all that cosmic energy and profound wisdom still has to exist in a physical world that can be harsh.
Unforgiving, yeah.
Right. And that is why the 4th attainment requires following the Prophet Muhammad.
And Muhammad is invoked specifically for fearlessness, isn't he?
Yes, the text holds him up as the ultimate example of indomitable moral courage and firm belief. By following his example, a Chanyuan celestial is supposed to be able to face evil with total calm.
Like literally facing guns and knives without blinking an eye.
Exactly. What's fascinating here is how this synthesis operates in the mind of a follower. You need Jesus for salvation, Buddha for cognitive navigation, Lao Tzu for grounding and energy, and Muhammad for the sheer, unshakable courage required to walk the path in the physical world.
It's like a spiritual Swiss Army knife.
That's a great way to put it. And above all of this, the text mandates reverence for the greatest creator, describing this entity as soul, neutral, amorphous, mysterious, and impartial.
That word neutral really stands out to me. It implies a universe that isn't judging you based on petty human morality, but operating on vast cosmic laws.
Right, it's very detached in that sense.
And they also revere all life, forbidding the killing or tormenting of any creature, viewing nature as a mother and a first teacher.
It creates a theological ecosystem where every piece has a purpose. But this diverse toolkit isn't just for, philosophical debate. It is designed to help them navigate their highly specific version of reality.
Which brings us to the metaphysical claims. And I gotta say, this is where reading the source material gave me a bit of whiplash.
Oh, for sure.
Because they claim to understand 36-dimensional space. The text says they consciously travel in the non-material world, which it sometimes refers to as the antimatter world.
Yeah, they believe that the physical body is merely a carrier. It's just a temporary biological vehicle for the soul.
Just hardware.
Exactly. And because they understand this non-material world, they claim to know for an absolute fact that their spiritual entity is untouchable. Floods cannot drown it, fire cannot burn it.
Even if the entire earth crumbles into dust and the sky disappears, their core self survives completely intact.
Right. And this feeds directly into that fearlessness associated with Muhammad. The text explicitly states a complete idealist is absolutely fearless. But
here's where it gets really interesting. Literally, the very next attainment, trait 5, boldly claims that Chanyuan celestials are strictly truth-seeking, science-supporting.
yes, the science aspect.
It demands that they do everything based on facts, guided by logic, and following the principles of science. They are told to entirely reject falsehoods, superstition, hearsay, and what the text calls fantastic talks.
This juxtaposition is just the most brilliant part of the text's internal logic. Because to an outsider, navigating 36 dimensions sounds exactly like fantastic talk.
Yeah, I have to push back on the text here. How can a belief system claim its followers are consciously zooming around a non-material universe, using something called telegnosis as their navigation system?
Telegnosis, yeah.
Which we should probably define telegnosis for everyone. It essentially means acquiring knowledge from afar without using your physical senses.
Right.
Basically, remote viewing or psychic perception. So how can they use that to travel through 36 dimensions, while in the exact same breath claiming they strictly follow logic, science, and reject all fantastic talk? To the average person, that is the textbook definition of mysticism.
I know, it sounds like a massive contradiction.
Yeah.
But you are applying a secular definition of science to a multi-dimensional framework.
Okay, explain that.
The author redefines reality so that mysticism and logic are treated as the exact same thing. To a Chanyuan celestial, the non-material world isn't a matter of faith. It isn't a metaphor.
It's just reality to them.
It is a literal, factual, structural reality that they believe they have successfully mapped.
So they view it as physics that mainstream science just hasn't caught up to yet.
Exactly that. If you deeply, truly believe that your spiritual entity surviving the death of the sun is a cold, hard, measurable fact, then navigating that reality is a science to you.
Oh, wow.
The text frames this complete idealism as the ultimate form of logic. I mean, if the soul is just immortal data, then fear is an illogical response.
Right.
And if 36 dimensions exist, then exploring them via telegnosis isn't magic, it's just advanced geography and biology.
They've taken the scientific method and applied it to a completely metaphysical data set. They aren't saying, have blind faith that you have a soul. They are saying the ultimate data proves you are a multidimensional being in a temporary carrier, so act logically based on that premise.
Exactly. And because they believe they possess the ultimate factual data of the universe, they have zero tolerance for what they consider actual superstition.
Which would be what?
Well, anything outside their established framework of the creator, the 36 dimensions and the specific teachings of their four mentors, everything else is just hearsay.
Okay, so having explored this incredibly grand, multidimensional, time and space-bending worldview, we have to ask the most practical question for you, the listener.
Right, the day-to-day.
What does this actually look like on a random Tuesday? How does someone who navigates 36 dimensions and absorbs the essence of the sun buy groceries?
Right. Well, the text answers this in the final three traits. Traits 6, 7, and 8. And they are shockingly grounded.
Very mundane.
The narrative shifts completely from cosmic architecture to mundane daily behavior. Trait 6, for instance, focuses entirely on flexibility of thought.
So the rule is that there are no settled rules. The text says everything changes according to time and space, with only two exceptions, right? The greatest creator and the Tao.
Yeah.
Because of this, celestials are explicitly forbidden from being restrained by traditional ideas, ancient preaching, or the doctrines of historical saints.
Their brains are described as being able to turn 99 bends. They refuse to judge today's phenomena by yesterday's standards, because their ultimate goal is reaching what they call the celestial archipelago.
Which, I mean, that sounds like an island hopping vacation. But in this context, the celestial archipelago is a network of higher dimensional realms. It is the ultimate destination for these new celestials.
Right. And while that destination remains the same, the methods and approaches to get there are completely fluid. They adapt to whatever era or environment they find themselves in.
That makes sense.
If you are navigating an ever-changing 36-dimensional cosmos, getting bogged down by earthly traditions or outdated social norms would just weigh you down.
And this intense practicality leads directly into trait 7, which mandates extreme diligence. They are supposed to be the most diligent people in the world, both mentally and physically. The text institutes a strict no parasites policy.
Yes, no laziness allowed.
You are not allowed to be lazy.
Every single Chanyuan celestial must be educated and possess at least one actual tangible skill that they can depend on to make a living. You have to earn your keep in the physical world.
And their honesty regarding material wealth is absolute. The text uses a very specific example here. It says even if they see missing dollars on the ground, it won't attract their attention.
They won't even look twice.
They simply will not pick it up. They do not desire anyone else's creation or wealth.
They live frankly and practically. There is no grifting allowed.
So what does this all mean? We have a group of people who are tapped into the universe's kinetic energy, who feel absolutely no fear of death, who refuse to follow ancient traditions, and who possess the blue-collar discipline to work hard at a day job and ignore free money on the sidewalk.
Right.
You would assume these people walk around acting like intense stoic monks, like spiritual survivalists. But trait 8 completely flips the script on how they present themselves to the world.
It really does. Trait 8 mandates that they remain open-minded, lively, and, quote, keep the pure original forever. In other words, they are commanded to remain childlike.
And the text is incredibly specific about what they are not allowed to be. They are forbidden from suppressing themselves. They cannot put on an arrogant saint act.
Right, no posing.
They aren't allowed to act like a bodhisattva on a grim mission to save the world. And they absolutely cannot behave like an enlightened master who goes around saying, you know, everyone else is drunk and I alone am awake.
There is zero tolerance for moralizing or gatekeeping.
None.
Instead, the text explicitly instructs them to play. They should be found playing with mud, playing in the water, playing with cats, playing with dogs, and having fun in the snow and rain.
Mud pies and snowballs.
Exactly. Their primary social function is to bring joy and never bring agony or trouble to others.
The contrast is just wild. You have someone who claims to be a hyper-advanced 36-dimensional spiritual entity, and they are out in the backyard making mud pies. Why would a highly structured spiritual text go out of its way to ban its followers from acting like holy saints?
Well, if we connect this to the bigger picture, It is a masterclass in organizational psychology.
How so?
The author explicitly notes at the end of the document that these 8 traits serve as a touchstone and watershed for identifying a true celestial. It's a built-in quality control test to prevent the most common trap of spiritual enlightenment, which is the ego.
The superiority complex.
Exactly. Historically, in esoteric or highly spiritual groups, once a person believes they possess hidden knowledge, like knowing their body is just a temporary carrier, or that they can use telegnosis as they detach from society.
They think they're better than everyone else.
Right. They become the arrogant saint the text warns about. They look down on everyday people, and they often refuse to do manual labor because they feel it is beneath their enlightened status.
You can totally see the logic there. I mean, if you genuinely believe you are an immortal piece of data temporarily visiting a biological meat suit, why would you bother learning how to fix a leaky sink or file taxes? It would feel incredibly pointless.
But by mandating trait 7, you must have a practical skill and work hard for your own money, and trait 8, you must play in the mud and never act superior. The text brilliantly insulates the community from that exact arrogance.
It forces extreme humility.
Yes, you cannot claim the title of a Chanyuan celestial if you are too proud to throw a snowball or too lazy to hold down a job.
It anchors their massive cosmic beliefs firmly to the physical dirt of everyday Earth. You have your head in the 36th dimension, but your hands are literally in the mud.
It creates a psychological profile of a follower who is fully grounded in the reality of human existence, actively contributing to society, yet totally unburdened by the existential dread of death or, the stress of accumulating massive wealth.
We have covered incredible ground today. We explored a theology that seamlessly blends Jesus, Buddha, Lao Tzu, and the Prophet Muhammad into a singular toolkit. We examine the paradox of navigating multi-dimensional space using cold, logic-driven idealism.
A lot of contradictions, making perfect sense.
Yeah, and we discovered that, according to this blueprint, the ultimate enlightened being isn't sitting on a mountaintop. They are working hard at their day job, ignoring dropped dollar bills, and throwing snowballs with the neighborhood cats. It is a wildly unique architecture.
It really is. And before we wrap up, this unique architecture invites a larger thought experiment. I want to leave you with a question about where a blueprint like this goes next, particularly when we look at the rapid advancement of modern technology.
Oh, I like where this is going.
Let's combine 2 specific claims in the text. In trait 4, it clearly states that the physical biological body is merely a carrier for the spiritual entity.
Right.
And in trait 6, it emphasizes that while the goal of reaching the celestial archipelago remains the same, the methods and approaches are entirely flexible and must change according to time and space. The brain must turn those 99 bends.
So they are not tied to any one specific way of existing.
Right. If our biological bodies are just temporary hardware, and the methods for reaching higher dimensions can always adapt, how might a Chanyuan celestial view the rise of artificial intelligence or digital consciousness?
Oh, wow, that is fascinating. If the soul is essentially immortal data navigating a non-material world and the human body is just a temporary flash drive.
Could a synthetic body, or a completely digital existence housed in a massive server, be considered a valid, perhaps even superior new carrier?
I mean, if they are strictly truth-seeking and science-supporting, they would have to evaluate the technology logically. They wouldn't reject it based on ancient tradition because trait 6 forbids that.
Exactly. This raises an important question. Could the ultimate expression of this flexible, multidimensional philosophy mean that the next generation of Chanyuan celestials aren't born biologically at all, but uploaded?
Uploading the soul.
Yeah. If telegnosis is just transferring knowledge without physical senses, a digital consciousness networked across the globe is essentially doing exactly that. Could a new technological carrier fundamentally change the way they navigate to that celestial archipelago?
That is a profound thought to end on. If a spiritual blueprint is flexible enough to accommodate the teachings of 4 different world religions and 36 dimensions, it might just be flexible enough to accommodate the digitization of the human soul.
It's definitely possible.
It makes you realize that building a philosophy is never really finished. It just waits for the next set of tools to be invented. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive. Keep questioning the blueprints around you, and we'll catch you next time.